In 2023, we were provided, well, I guess I would even say felt like gifted with a great game. Robocop Rogue City was exactly the type of thing we needed within this space. A really fun and awesome first-person shooter that managed to honor its legacy while also adding its own specialness to it. Like Terminator Resistance before this, Rogue City was and is an absolute joy. Easily one of the best games of that year. It wasn't concerned with inserting modern nonsense agendas, but rather focused on the entertainment, the world, characters, and keeping them all consistent with what we knew them as. We were transported into this world, the film's world, and now we weren't just watching it, but rather we were controlling it. With that being a success for the developer and publisher, my guess was that we were probably going to see them tackle another legacy property. Probably from the same time period too. Maybe they are working on something like that right now, but who knows? But right now we are getting a brand new Robocop game, and this looks pretty special. For a quick and dirty announcement trailer, it's solid all the way. I mean, I don't know about you, but all I need to see now with Teon is that they're making another game, and I'm all in. And when it looked like more Robocop stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there for that. So this new standalone game has us infiltrating a building, and it looks like most of the game is going to be focused on this. I know what all of you are thinking. This looks like these developers are big fans of, say, The Raid or Dread. I'm going to say it all here right now because we are all thinking it. Teon should be doing a Dread game. I know that Rebellion has the license, but for the last several years, they haven't really seemed interested in making a Dread game themselves. So maybe it's time to collaborate between the two studios to make something like this happen. We know Teon cares, and based on the footage for this new Robocop game, they like Dread. So make it happen. Fans will eat that up. So back to the trailer for Unfinished Business. We seem to be getting a lot of familiar elements and action that made Rogue City great. Plenty of good shooting, a lot of violence, that physical strength of Robocop on display, and we even get a perspective change, which leads me to believe that the game is going to have the player both playing as Robocop in the present, and then Alex Murphy in the past. This brings up a bunch of interesting story ideas that we're going to get into in a bit. But as far as the trailer is concerned and what it's showing, this honestly looks like what was probably going to be a DLC expansion of some kind, and then it grew into something else. Something closer to maybe a full-on sequel, but not completely in that way. I say this because it has many of the same elements that we loved about the first, and it looks very similar. So to manage expectations, my guess is that this game will be good, but it probably won't be a full-on sequel type of feel to it, if that makes any sense. So do not go into this one expecting Rogue City 2, but rather more Rogue City with some additions, maybe even tweaks and improvements as well. To me, it looks more of the same and being able to tell a new story in a new setting, sort of exploring the city and line of work in a different way. The stakes seem to be high too, and this title looks like a more narrow and focused game. I would not expect something as big as the last one, but then again, I could be completely wrong. Something else I wonder is if there's going to be any additional challenge modes that'll be in this game. Needing to raid a building, a large one such as this, like the main focus of this title. That right there is a good setup for a fun endurance mode. I wonder if we're going to see something like that as well. There is an area of the Steam page that sort of gives us even more insight and really makes me wonder on this level what it's going to be going for. Now maybe I'm reading into this too much and I might end up being wrong, but the page makes reference that the player will be playing as Alex Murphy. Now to clarify too, I went back to the listing for the first game and there was nothing there that seemed to indicate that same type of wording like playing as Alex Murphy. More specifically for Unfinished Business, part of this section is dedicated to Alex before Robocop. So my best guess is with all of this is that you're going to be playing as Alex Murphy. This is also confirmed through some of the footage in the trailer itself, where we see what looks like old memories as Alex, which would mean that the game may have some sort of non-linear story to it. This is really interesting. Are we going to see a case sort of running at the same time where we are tackling it as Alex and then as Robocop? So will that happen, or as the title suggests, Unfinished Business, is this then started as Alex but then ends up being Robocop in the end? Depending on how this is interweaved, this could be really interesting, along with how it's done from a gameplay perspective. For example, we know that this building is going to be a main focus for the action in this title. Could it be that as Robocop we are playing in this large structure, and then as Alex we are on the streets, and maybe this is where we end up, and we get more hub-like sections from the first area of the game, but now we're Alex? Will the narrative unfold in a linear fashion? Alex at the start and then lead into Robocop after? Or will it be a side-by-side story that is then intercut between the present as Robocop and then as the past as Murphy? Another way is having us play as Robocop through flashbacks at set points that we then could be Murphy, or something else entirely. Another thing I want to go back to is that the entire game could just be focused on this building, and then us seeing it at different points in time. That's another interesting way. If done well, this could be a way to use similar areas, and then show the change or pass of time or even events of the story. This is one of the more interesting elements about the game, and I am curious about it. Now, something else that I want to throw out there as it pertains to speculation. So the original Robocop Rogue City title had an element of choice, whether that was from the side missions and how those would turn out, or even other bigger choices too. So let's just go along that the game could have a narrative that is both set in the present, with Robocop and then Alex Murphy in the past. What if choices you make as Alex could then reflect changes or how things are done when you are then Robocop? This is a rather broad concept because how would this be done? It could even be down to a few key choices that, depending on what the player chooses, this would then create a substantially or even a slightly different course for the narrative to take. Again, this is all just me spitballing here. I could be reading into this a bit too much and end up being wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong, and at the end of the day, I just want another great game, and I think we have the opportunity to have that again. Teon has more than proven to be a developer to watch out for, and keep an eye on their stuff. We need more developers like this, yet we don't have many of them, which partially contributes to that specialness you find here with this team and the work they do. What a surprise this turned out to be, my kind of an announcement. I cannot wait to see where this leads. What are your thoughts on all of this? Did you enjoy the original Rogue City? Are you looking forward to Unfinished Business? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.